Welcome back to another FPL video. A lot of managers use their free hit chip in blank game week 34. I used mine as well. I'll take a look at the results in a minute. Blank game week 34 is actually not done yet. Still one game to be played, Brentford against Nottingham Forest. Trippier, he is the highest point scorer so far this game week, but Cunha matched him. So if you guessed Trippier or Cunha, you'll get the points. So let me know in the comments down below who do you think will be the highest point scorer for game week 35. In this video, I'm going to focus on the upcoming blanks and the doubles. Will we get any blanks and doubles for the rest of the season? We'll discuss that in a minute. As always, I'll end the video by taking a look at the captain selection for the next game week. So let's have a look. 84 points so far and a decent green arrow for me in blank game week 34. As mentioned, I played my free hits and pretty satisfied with the selection. Of course, the Chelsea players, James and Palmer, they disappointed. Could have gone Cucurella, but I opted for Reece James. We knew that Malo Gusto was injured, so I was really hoping that Reece James would get a start, but he was benched and only came on for 1 point. Palmer as well, he blanked again, but kept a clean sheet, so 3 points for Cole Palmer. Really impressive from Ait Nouri and Trippier, of course, 2 assists. Kind of disappointed in my Fulham players as well, of course. Both of them did not deliver FPL points. Leno, he only got 2 points, and a blank from Raul Jimenez. He also picked up a yellow card, so only 1 point for the Fulham striker. In midfield, I have Luis Diaz and Mo Salah. Both of them scored, so happy days. Up front, Alexander Isak with 1 goal, 6 points. And of course, my captain this game week, 15 points from Cunha. Goal and assist, 2 assists from Cunha. So a really good game week for Cunha and for the ones who decided to captain him. On my bench, I actually have Sessegnon. I was really close to playing him ahead of Reece James. I had Cucurella in my team for so long on my bench and Sessegnon in my starting 11, but after the news about Malo Gusto, I decided to take a punt on Reece James. This led me to actually bench Sessegnon, but however, a decent game week, 84 points, nothing to complain about. But this team is history for game week 35. I will get my old team back, so let's take a look at it. So this will be my team for game week 35. A lot of players who doubled in game week 32 and game week 33. I have Raya, Saliba and Saka from Arsenal, and Guardiola, De Bruyne and Marmoush from Man City. I have a triple up from Crystal Palace as well, but I don't think that I will play all 3 of them. But for now, Esse and Mateta are in my starting 11. I have Jared Bowen in midfield as well. I'm starting Trippier, and up front, Alexander Isak together with Mateta and Marmoush. This means that on my bench I have Areola playing against Spurs. I'll have Rodgers, Munoz as mentioned, and Nico Williams last on my bench. I'm actually not quite sure which players I should have on my bench. Let me know in the comments down below who do you think should be benched in this squad. At the moment, as mentioned, Rodgers is on my bench. He has a decent game playing at home against Fulham, but I was not really impressed from what I saw from Aston Villa against Crystal Palace in the FA Cup, and they haven't really delivered in the league as well for the last couple of game weeks. So Rodgers is on the bench. Munoz is on my bench for now. Of course, home fixture against Nottingham Forest. I know that Nottingham Forest at the start of the season, I think that at some point they were actually a bit underrated, especially around Christmas. They had really good stats and performed very well, but at the moment they are really not performing at the same level as they did mid-season. So playing against Nottingham Forest is not to be considered as a really tough fixture nowadays, but I still think that my other players are better. Guardiola, Trippier, 2 assists in game week 34, and of course Saliba playing for the best defense in the league. Williams, Crystal Palace, I will not play Williams against Esse and Mateta. I don't really like playing my defenders against my attackers, so Williams, he will probably stay on my bench. Blanks and doubles for the rest of the season. This is not confirmed yet, but we know that Man City and Crystal Palace, they will play in the final. They beat their opponents in the semi-finals, so Man City won 2-0 against Nottingham Forest, and Crystal Palace, they beat Aston Villa 3-0. So the final is played on the 17th of May, and this is in game week 37. So there is a slight possibility that this fixture gets moved and be played in game week 36, and this will give us a blank game week 37 and a double game week 36. This means that Man City and Crystal Palace and their opponents will play twice in game week 36. This is, as mentioned, not confirmed yet, but there is a possibility that those teams will have two fixtures in double game week 36. So if the Premier League decide to move the affected games by the FA Cup final forward to game week 36, we will get those fixtures. Crystal Palace, they will play away against Spurs and at home against Wolves. Decent fixture that for Crystal Palace. Wolves, they will play against Brighton and Crystal Palace. Man City, really good double game week for them with Southampton away and Bournemouth at home. Bournemouth, they will play against Aston Villa at home. They will have their rearranged fixture against City at the Etihad. Of course, this means that the blank teams will be Crystal Palace, Wolves, Man City and Bournemouth. Another dark horse in the blanks and doubles landscape is Spurs. If they reach the Europa League final, they will try to move their fixture from game week 37 to the game week 36, because there's only 3 days between the final in Europa League and their fixture in game week 37. So if this goes through, I know Aston Villa, they have tried to reject the proposal from Spurs, but if it gets accepted, we will get those fixtures. Spurs will have a blank, of course, in game week 37, and they will play against Crystal Palace at home and then Aston Villa away. Aston Villa, they will play against Bournemouth and against Spurs at home. This means that, of course, in blank game week 37, both Aston Villa and Spurs will be without a fixture. So without any fixtures being moved or confirmed yet, this is what we potentially can have in double game week 36. Crystal Palace, Wolves, Man City, Bournemouth, Spurs and Aston Villa are the teams that potentially can have a double game week in double game week 36. And of course, the teams that have a double will also have a blank in blank game week 37. So potentially 6 teams with a double game week, but there could potentially be none as well. So pay attention to news from the Premier League on the matter, but also subscribe to the channel, as I'll give updates as soon as anything is confirmed. Captain selection for game week 35. I think that there will be a lot of variety in the captain selections for this game week. We know that Mo Salah, he has a tough fixture against Chelsea. There are some other options available as well. Saka looks really good on paper playing at home against Bournemouth, but when we take a look at Bournemouth's recent stats, I'm not really tempted. So Bournemouth, they have actually kept 2 clean sheets, only conceded 3 goals, 7 big chances conceded, 16 shots on target, and they have an expected goal of 4.64. So Bournemouth, they are actually first when it comes to goals conceded and big chances conceded. They have a lot of shots on target, so they have maybe been a bit lucky, but Kepa has also done well in the last 4 game weeks. So Saka has not really looked that impressive recently. He's a minute risk at the moment as well, because he's been out with injury for an extended period of time. So I don't really consider Saka as one of the best captain options, but he's certainly a really good player. So if you really believe that he will do well in game week 35, he's not the worst option, of course, but let's have a look at some other options as well. Man City and Marmoush. A lot of FPL managers captain Marmoush in double game week 33, but he blanked 2 2-pointers, so only 8 points for those who captained Marmoush in double game week 33. In game week 35, Man City, they are playing against Wolves at home. Looks really good on paper, that one as well, same as with Saka playing at home to Bournemouth. But let's have a look at Wolves stats. They have kept 2 clean sheets as well, only conceded 3 goals, same as Bournemouth. 7 big chances conceded, only 10 shots on target as well. They have an expected goal conceded of 5.22. So Wolves, as with Bournemouth, they are actually pretty impressive when we take a look at their defensive stats. Of course, playing against Man City at the Etihad is something different, a really big test for Wolves, but let's have a look at other captain candidates. But I really think that Marmoush actually is a decent punt for game week 35, but as mentioned, let's have a look at some other options. Alexander Isak, one of the players that's always in the conversation when we discuss captaincy. In game week 35, Newcastle and Alexander Isak are playing against Brighton. They have kept 0 clean sheets, conceded 10 goals, which is actually 18th worst in the league. 10 big chances, 21 shots on target. They have an expected goal conceded of 5.55. So not the best defensive stats for Brighton for the last 4 game weeks, but to be honest, I'm not really impressed by what I have seen from Alexander Isak in the last 4 game weeks as well. I really think that he looks a bit tired, and I think that some other midfielders are more threatening than him. But of course, we know that he is on penalties, so all it takes for Alexander Isak is a bit of luck, a couple of good crosses from the wingers, or maybe a penalty, and he will deliver points. So Alexander Isak, always a decent captain option. He's playing away against Brighton, one of the worst defenses in the last 4 game weeks, so we can never write him off completely. A big captain punt for game week 35 is SA. Crystal Palace, they are in form, did really well in the FA Cup semi against Aston Villa. They're actually playing a defensive out of form Nottingham Forest. So Forest, we have praised them all season, especially since around Christmas, for their defensive stability, but in the last 4 game weeks they have only kept 1 clean sheet, conceded 4 goals, which is decent. But when we take a look at the other stats, we can see that they are not as good as they were a couple of months ago. So big chances conceded 13, shots on target 23. They have an expected goals conceded of 8.16. So Crystal Palace at home against Nottingham Forest is actually a pretty decent attacking fixture for the Eagles. So SA, I think that he probably is on penalties at the moment, because Mateta, he has actually missed the last 2 penalties. So I think that potentially SA can be next in line. We know that before Christmas, Glasner said that they will share them. So if this is true, then SA is probably on penalties for Crystal Palace at the moment. So 6.9, only selected by 12.5% of managers playing at home against Forest. I think that SA is actually a good captain punt for game week 35. The last player on my list this game week is another punt, Jared Bowen, in form, done really well, 2 assists in blank game week 34. I have him in my team, but actually on my free hit I decided to pick other midfielders, so I did not get Jared Bowen's points in blank game week 34. But next game week he is playing against Spurs. They have nothing to play for in the league. They are fighting for Europe, so I think that potentially this could be a really good fixture for West Ham, even though they are not in their best form as well. But Spurs kept 0 clean sheets, conceded 12 goals, which is worst in the league, 11 big chances, 18 shots on target, and they have an expected goal in the last 4 game weeks of 6.18. So Spurs at this point, I think that Europe League is their main priority at the moment, and it makes sense as well. They cannot be relegated, have nothing to fight for in the league, so going for success in Europe makes sense for Ange Postecoglou and his troops. So targeting players that will play against Spurs in the remaining fixtures will probably be a decent strategy to pick up points. So Jared Bowen, captaincy in game week 35. It's really close for me at the moment. I'm really considering both SA and Jared Bowen. The safest option for game week 35 will probably still be Mo Salah, even though Liverpool have a tough fixture against Chelsea. So Mo Salah is the safest option, but I'm really tempted, as mentioned, by SA and Jared Bowen. Let me know in the comments down below who will be your captain for game week 35. Thanks for watching. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel for more FPL content.